Hey guys, your boy FTO back again with another video, and today, as it says down in the title below, we are taking a look at why Neymar, who's arguably one of the biggest footballers in the world, has moved from Nike to Puma. Now, I don't think any of us expected it, but before we get into the video, make sure you smash the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so you're updated every time I release a video. I can't believe it. The guy's moved from Nike to Puma. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Some of you may be wondering, what's the big deal? Well, it's kind of a big deal because it could be the resurgence of Puma, because back in the day, they were actually the bigger brand in football. They had the likes of Pele, Maradona, Johan Cruyff sporting their boots, and now they've just gone and picked up one of the biggest footballers in the game, Neymar. To begin with, Neymar was only 13 when Nike actually picked him up, which is ridiculous because what was I doing at 13? I was just going to school. That was about it. I was just going to school. There was nothing else I was doing. No brand was looking at me. No brand wanted to sponsor me or whatsoever. I'm sure that's the same for most people. Is that just me? And at that time, there wasn't even like social media as there is now, which would allow them to, spot him maybe on Instagram doing a few stepovers and whatsoever. It wasn't like that back then. So to be picked up by a brand like Nike shows how good he was. Now, he was playing for Santos at this time in their academy, which is a Brazilian club, and he was working his way up. During that time, he was obviously wearing Nike products, so he wore the Vapor 1s, the 2s, 3s. The 3s, I believe, is like his favorite boot of all time, which is the kind of yellow with a green at the back, which Ronaldo in 2006 was wearing in the World Cup. 2011, this guy was the real deal. Everyone knew that he was going to eventually become one of the best players in the world. He was probably going to win a Ballon d'Or and so on. And so this led Nike to do the unbelievable. 2011 would have made him around 18 years old. And you know what Nike did? They offered him a contract, an 11-year contract worth about $105 million, which is about $9 million a year, which is ridiculous. It's just like that level of money and wealth at that age is just unreal. But let's be honest, he was good enough. In 2012, he then scored something like 43 goals in 47 games. As a result of stats like that, 43 goals in 47 games at that age is unheard of. He then got a big move to Barcelona for about 80 odd million, which is out of this world at that time. And then not only that, he then became the poster boy for Nike's new boot, the Hypervenom. Arriving at Barcelona, he's playing with the likes of Messi, Iniesta, things that I could only dream of. And it gets even better because in 2014, Nike then create a signature boot for Neymar called Premium Gold. It was this gold boot that was, apparently the story behind it was the fact that Neymar used to paint his boots gold. And looking at it, it's absolutely amazing. I wish I had a pair. I think they're going on like eBay and StockX for like £500 now. And they were made for Neymar ahead of the 2014 World Cup held in Brazil. Now, the best possible way to put this is that it didn't go according to plan, because after just 2 games, Neymar came out of the game with that infamous back injury that happened against Colombia, where he was out of the rest of the tournament and Brazil got knocked out by Germany 7-1. Yeah, that wasn't much TV time for their new boot. The following year, he gets the Liquid Diamond boot, which is basically the same thing but silver, and these boots actually sell pretty well. And now this is where the problems start. In 2015, when Nike released the Hypervenom 2, which I've got a pair here, this kind of boot, he wasn't so much of a fan. What happened next was a shock to everyone. Neymar hated the Hypervenom 2 so much that he got Nike to get a Vapor and camouflage it as the Hypervenom to keep everyone happy. Both himself and Nike, who wanted their boot to be shown all over the world with Neymar playing in them. So essentially, he never actually played in a Hypervenom 2. All along, he was playing in a Vapor camouflaged as a Hypervenom, which is outrageous and a weird way of doing business. They should have just put him back in a pair of Vapors, but there's a reason why they didn't do that. He was doing this for a number of, months in 2015. However, it got to the Champions League final and Nike were like, listen here, mate, we need you to wear your Hypervenom 2 so that we can get more sales. Actually wear them, and it was a good thing he did, because he actually scored in a 3-1 win over Juventus. He scored the final goal with a pair of Hypervenoms on his feet, so they couldn't have been that bad. In 2016, it seemed like Nike were just trying to keep Neymar happy by doing a collaboration with Jordan, who Neymar had big respect for, and the boots that came out of that collab were sick. He had the black ones and the white ones, but again, Neymar never wore the authentic Hypervenom version. He wore a Vapor that looked like a Hypervenom with the skin of the Jordan 5 collab on. So again, I don't know why Nike did this. They might have just gonna put him in another boot. But at this point, I feel like Nike and Neymar were like, listen, I don't want to wear the Hypervenom anymore. And so he never wore the Hypervenom 3s. He switched in 2017 to Vapors that we know he would like. And ever since, till today, that he's now moved to Puma, he's been sporting Vapors. In 2017, Nike then released a signature colorway for Neymar in the Vapor 11s called Written in the Stars, and it featured like his date of birth of like his kid, and also like location of like the Barcelona, the coordinates of the Barcelona stadium and things like that, and his fastest speed. And I thought it was pretty cool, that boot, to be honest. It's a World Cup here, 2018, so Nike released a signature colorway for Neymar. It was this bright yellow boot. You couldn't miss it at all. And I got to say, I did like it. It was one of my favorite ones of Neymar's signature boots. But anyway, the tournament starts. He doesn't get injured this time. However, instead of a lot of attention being on his bright yellow boots that went on sale and possibly didn't do as well, the attention was on the fact that Neymar kept on diving, people believed, and felt that he was just acting up on the pitch, and that was all the attention Neymar got. Nothing on his boots, and I don't believe those boots sold as well as they could have if he actually just focused on his game, had a good tournament, maybe become top goal scorer, win the golden boot or something like that. But instead, it was on his acting during the games, and so that, I believe, is another strike. In 2019, he got another signature colorway called Shush, and this was intended for the people that had been hating on him and all the critics that had said he was diving. It had Shush written along the length of the boot. Following that, he then had a boot called Speed Freak for his love of racing, which was a really cool boot. And then lastly, in 2020, in April, he then finally got his last one called Jugo Prismatico. I believe I've said that wrongly, but something like that. And anyway, it was to do with the fact that Neymar's all about, you know, not being predictable and being really bright, and his game's bright and skillful and all that stuff. I've got to say, they probably got that one right, because I don't think anyone would have predicted that he would be moving later this year to Puma. One thing about Neymar is that he's very injury prone, so a lot of these boots that we're mentioning, he never actually got to wear that much, which means people didn't really see him wearing them, and so because of that, partly there could be a reduction in sales, or people were just not feeling Neymar as much as they felt Ronaldo, of course. With 1 year left in Neymar's contract, which should expire next year in 2021, contract negotiations take place. Mind you, within that time, many players have come into the picture. You've got the likes of Sancho, who's now got his own signature boot. Mbappe. These are guys that Neymar possibly should be ahead of in terms of the face of Nike. They couldn't come to an agreement because Neymar was asking for too much money. And that possibly is the reason why Nike never kind of said, you know what, we'll give you an extension on your existing contract. What I didn't expect was Puma to come into the picture and say, you know what, we're going to give you that money you want, because they've just given him a £23 million a year contract. To put that into perspective, Ronaldo earns about 15 million a year from Nike, Messi 18 million from Adidas, and here we are, Neymar, first contract with Puma, who aren't as big, £23 million a year. The money that we're talking about is what we dream about. But with that said, the next thing that happens is a bit weird. they don't put Neymar into their kind of speed boot, the new Puma Ultra. They put him into their old school leather boot, which like the likes of Pele and so on wore, which was interesting. You'd think they'd put him in a bright coloured boot, lightweight, as with the kind of boots he was wearing with Nike. They've gone and put him in the old school kind of boot. The only reason why I think they may have done that is maybe to bring sales to their old school boot, because obviously if Neymar's wearing the Puma Kings, then all the Neymar fanboys might go and buy some Puma Kings. That's the only thing. But as for, or maybe they're going to make the Puma King, like revamp it with a brighter color, make it yellow, red, and all of this kind of stuff to bring traction to that boot, because it has been around for a while. Maybe they're gonna revamp it and make it for the modern game. So guys, it was no surprise that Nike possibly weren't gonna, you know, give him £23 million a year, especially with the fact that you've got the likes of Sancho and Mbappe coming into the picture, and then obviously you've got Ronaldo, who's the main face of Nike as well. So there was nowhere for Neymar to kind of fit in. So it was kind of, it does make sense now that Puma then came in to snap him up, because Nike were just not going to pay that amount of money, which is ridiculous. £23 million a year just to sport a pair of boots. But that's what endorsements are about. And to be honest, if it was me as well, 23 million, I'd probably make that move to Puma as well. But guys, let me know your thoughts on the whole Neymar to Puma situation in the comments below. And until next time, peace.